Buddy, this is Henry Kramer, 605 Chaser. It's been a while since I did any updates, but I wanted to let you know that I'm alive. I've got all kinds of stuff going on, trying to get my equipment all figured out with regards to the 2026 storm chasing season. I know a lot of you are like, well, geez, we're not even done with 2025. Well, I got a lot of ambitions, a lot of big plans, and definitely need to make sure that I get it all in play here. All right, we're going to go over the tropics real quick. This little tropical storm Aaron is going on over here. Currently wind speed 46 miles an hour. Wind gusts 58 miles per hour heading west. This is a little tricky to figure out whether this is going to go north or if it's going to keep going west. The main thing that we have to watch out for is this Bermuda high that's got right in here, smack dab. That could suppress this from moving north, as my drawings are terrible. And it could make it go over into this area here. So we've got to be watching out for that. As far as we'll get back to the tropics a little bit, but I want to focus on some of the severe weather that is expected starting tomorrow in the plains. Let's go ahead and bring that into perspective here a little bit better. Into the plains, we've got for your tomorrow, sometime in the late in the day. This is highly conditional. This is looking at the composite reflective with the NAM 3K. And as it loops through there, you can also see Thursday. Again, that is a very highly conditional play. We're not sure if that's going to ramp up like that. Obviously, weather models can change. The main threat over in Fargo area is going to be hail. There could be a very conditional time frame that we could end up seeing some tornadoes, but it's very, very conditional. I'm actually thinking I don't understand why, just personally, the SPC has not put any type of a risk, at least a 2% risk for areas of south central South Dakota. In my opinion, south central South Dakota could see a brief spin up tomorrow. Right now, it's a marginal risk, and I'll show you those right now. Let's go ahead and get the SPC information pulled up here. All right, take a look at the outlooks here for today. We have the risks that we got going on in areas of Michigan, Illinois, Indiana. We do actually have some risks for some excessive rainfall in those areas, slow movers, training thunderstorms. Not anything real huge is expected, as you can see with the marginal outline here. Marginal risk there, general thunderstorms outside of there. And then for day 2, smack dab in the middle of it is South Dakota. Pretty much the whole state of South Dakota in a marginal risk of severe weather for day 2. They don't have a outlook. It's less than 2% right now for tornadoes. As far as wind goes, it's only a 5%. Show you that there for wind. And the hail, again, 5%. Now, as you get into day 3, that becomes a probabilistic view that we got to take a look at. This is where they have that 15% of any type of severe weather. It's going to be covering areas just north of Aberdeen, right into the southern portion of North Dakota. So Hankinson, Wahpeton, Fargo, Grand Forks, and all the way up into northern Minnesota, places that I really do not like to go chase. I was up there, not that far north, but I was up in areas of Sauk Center area not that long ago, actually just last weekend. Pulled a pretty much all-nighter drive to get back to areas of South Dakota. So what's going to play out with regards to today? Well, let's go ahead and break that down for you with the NAM 3K. This is how it could play out for today for areas of Wisconsin. As you can see, it doesn't really look that great, except for when you get into early morning hours or late night hours of Look at that. There it is. Let me just pause this if I can. Let me pull that back up here. 1 second. Appreciate you all joining. So we got August 12th, 12Z is 7 a.m. So obviously this was updated at early morning hours. So once we get to 20Z, look at that. 18Z, which would be 1 p.m., 2 p.m. There we're getting into the nighttime. There's 7 p.m. and it kind of moves along. More of the wind and hail threat is going to be into areas of Wisconsin late this afternoon if things can get ramped up because there was some morning time convection and that always can put a damper on things really blowing up. But again, for my South Dakota friends that are just joining, take a look at this again. Here's what we expect to have play out here for your Thursday, your Wednesday into Thursday time frame. Look at there, Fargo, even areas Aberdeen getting in on the fun. Mainly in the afternoon hours, if this thing can break through the cap. Let's take a look at that cap and find out what exactly that might entail and what that might look like. Let's pull that up here 1 second. So our cap is surface-based sin. The thing that we have to worry about there is warm air aloft that's going to suppress from those clouds from really developing. Let me go over to north, the Midwest area, Midwest, show you the capping here. Not much cap going on in the later evening hours. Once you get to around 2 o'clock, there's 2 p.m. today. Not much showing for cap, and then those storms really blow up around 6 p.m. But right there, about 5 p.m., oh goodness, I can't even do my adding. There we go. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how our outlook. Gosh, no, I have not been drinking, if anybody's going to ask me. I'm just out of it. Getting old, I guess. All right, so surface-based sin for Wednesday. Take a look at this. As you can see, there's not a whole lot going on, obviously, at 06Z, which ends up being 1 o'clock in the morning on your Wednesday. Not a whole lot. But then take a look at this. As the day warms up, begins to warm up, we have by 15Z, which is 10 a.m., we have some capping that we got to deal with. These numbers, 126 joules per kilogram. It's not a real strong cap, but it is going to have some conditions that we have to be watching out for. By the time we get to 1 p.m., though, take a look at this. The cap is pretty much broke. Now, eastern part of South Dakota, that's where it's going to get a little dicey because there's a cap right here around 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So tomorrow, cap going on right here, lid, if you will, a lid that will cause convection to be hindered. It'll be very difficult for things to ramp up there. However, right in here, that area there is where I would be watching. If I was going to chase, and I don't think that there's going to be any real huge threat for tornadoes, but if you're looking for a little diamond in a rough, so to speak, of a chase, this would probably be, in my opinion, as this zooms right through here, in my opinion, probably the better of the days if you want to chase more closely into the South Dakota area instead of dealing with the nighttime garbage that's going to be happening up in North Dakota for your Thursday. Because that's my opinion. North Dakota is going to have for Thursday, it's going to be all nighttime stuff. You know me and nighttime chases. I do not like them. There is even a possibility over here in O'Neill area, Valentine, I should say, that there is that possibility of some storm development here as well on Wednesday, later in the day, if it could break through the cap. But look at that as you get to 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., 23Z. Few robust storms there. That looks like cap, but it's not. So let me just kind of show you the bulk shear values here to kind of give you an idea of why that potential is there. Going to be enough wind shear as we get into 7 p.m. time frame. We got 60 knots of shear all up and along this area. So that's why I think tomorrow. Now I know it says Thursday up here, and a little bit of education for y'all. 01Z, so 00Z ends up being the next day. Even though it's only 00Z is 7 p.m. So 01Z would be 8 p.m. technically on Wednesday night. So that's a little bit, it's UTC, Universal Time Code, that you have to watch out for. So this is, I'm going to just click on the sounding. It's probably not going to come up anything. Yeah, nothing there. It's going to be a very, very itty bitty small window of opportunity there. But nonetheless, I think this area is definitely going to see some risks for a brief spin up and some hailers in there. Probably at best a 1.5-inch hail. Soundings are having a hard time bringing all that information in. Let's take a look at significant tornado parameters and show you those numbers here as well for your Wednesday. There we go. See, this even puts it at 10 p.m. at night. So again, highly conditional, probably marginal tornado. I mean, only 1.9. Yeah, it brings back tornado, but the supercell number 24.2 STP, 5.2 STP fixed is 3.7, and your ship is 1.5. I know I'm getting all kind of geeky on you, but the critical angle is 153, so it's not really that great. So this is probably going to be more of a wind and hail threat, and the hail threat probably is less likely to be anything real huge. Let's take a look at updraft helicity. Again, folks, this is for your Wednesday that I'm looking at here. Look at, hardly anything comes up for hail there. It's just right there. So maybe they'll keep the marginal. Something to watch out for. You definitely want to keep an eye on that. But let's go back to your Fargo fun. Let's see how the Rufus model brings this into play here. We're not going to be able to go out that far. We'll have to use 06Z. And we'll use a reflective. The Rufus model sometimes works pretty well, but there's so many different models that you have to watch out for and look at. Now this is interesting. Take a look at this. So the Rufus model puts that on the 13th, so tomorrow around 8 p.m. And that looks probably going to have your marginal risk for excessive rainfall and more of your wind threat is what this is showing. Because see how it builds that line, and there's that wonderful lid. You can just see it die out as it goes into areas of Sioux Falls. But prior to that, it really ramps up at 20Z or 3 p.m. out west in Rapid City area, Spearfish area of South Dakota. And then the further it moves along, by the time it gets into central South Dakota, it's just kind of getting crowded out by all the rain and multiple cells that have merged together. Then it kind of forms into around 8 p.m., more of a line right into central part of South Dakota, maybe the Miller, Gettysburg area. And then by the time that it gets past the river, maybe a little bit by Huron area, around 10 p.m. But after that, boom, it's pretty much dies out. That's according to the Rufus model. So we'll see how everything plays out and shakes out. But that's kind of the latest that we have. What about the temps? What's that expected to be? Well, we'll show you that here real quick. Might be a good idea if I shut off a few things though first, right? All right, so let me go ahead and pull that up here. For Aberdeen, South Dakota, we're expecting 80s today. And we'll get into the 90s by Thursday. We'll have wonderful moisture picking back up, and we're going to have those dew points getting into the upper 60s, low 70s as the fuel pumps in from the south and starts trying to fire those storms off. As you can see here, 50% shot at some storms in around Aberdeen area for tomorrow night, and then 20% Thursday night. As you can see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of a rainy pattern. Spotty showers. Not everybody's going to get showers, but overall, temperature's not too bad. As we get into Sioux Falls, South Dakota area, pretty much dry. A beautiful day today, 81 degrees. 84 by tomorrow, and again, we're going to see that wind shift from the west northwest to the south southeast and pump in some of that fuel to fire off some storms as we get into Wednesday night and into Thursday. By Friday, we're looking at 90s. We'll probably end up getting close to 100-degree temperatures in some portions of South Dakota with the heat indexes. So just make sure you drink plenty of fluids. Saturday, we're going to be in the 90s as well. Sunday, got storm chances that continue to kind of haunt us a little bit, but nothing real huge is expected. The main focus for Sioux Falls area would be a very conditional risk Wednesday night. That's if those storms can hold on going past the river. Let's go ahead and take a look at areas of Pierre. There it is. We've got, oh yeah, we're going to be we're going to be over 100 degrees by the time we get to Thursday with the heat indexes. So hope you are ready for the furnace to get turned on because that's what we're expecting. All right, here's another look at your Thursday fun day for severe weather. We've got 15% chance of any type of severe weather. This would include hail, isolated tornado threat, and that is very isolated, very tricky if there's going to be enough shear and enough lift in order to break that cap off the atmosphere and allow those towers to really build up. As far as the day one goes, that again is over in Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois area. And again, that is going to be later this afternoon, but it's going to be conditional. And the reason for that is because it does have some capping that it has to deal with after the storms that move through their early morning hours. Day two, that's smack dab in areas of South Dakota. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, and we will. We'll have another update here tomorrow. God bless, stay safe, and as always, appreciate you guys like, share, and subscribe.